In about 10 minutes, this video is going to end, and you're going to do something so normal, you won't even register it as a choice. You'll glance at a screen, maybe answer a text, maybe queue up another video right after this one, and maybe you'll stay up for another 2 hours without ever deciding to. It'll feel like nothing. Now, put one of your actual ancestors in the room while you do it, someone from 50,000 years ago, and they won't see a habit. They'll see something closer to sorcery. Because for nearly the entire run of human history, the moment the sun dropped, the world didn't just get dim, it vanished. No streetlights, no screens, no glow leaking over the hill from a city that doesn't exist yet. Just a dark, so total you couldn't even locate your own hand in front of your face. And every person who has led to you has spent close to half of their life inside exactly that. So, what were they actually doing with it? The answer is weirder than you guess, and weirder still, because some of it is still running quietly inside of you tonight, whether you've noticed or not. Picture it. An open plain, no roof, no walls, 50,000 years ago. The sun is going down, and at first, it's peaceful, but then the birds stop, the air drops, and something, somewhere, growls. And you remember, a fact your body has never once forgotten. You are not the strongest thing here, not the fastest, and not even close to the most dangerous. The second the light goes, you're nearly blind. The things hunting you are not. So humans did the only thing that ever works against an enemy that you can't see. They stopped sleeping all at once. Someone always stayed up, eyes open, listening for the only warning they'd get. That single habit, repeatedly, every night, for hundreds of thousands of years, never fully checked out of the species. It's why a creak in the house at 3 a.m. can snap you fully awake before your brain even knows. You're not broken, you're ancient. Then, something changed everything. Fire. Not just warmth, not just cooked food. Fire gave humans something they'd never had once in their entire existence. A circle the dark couldn't reach. And inside that circle, something nobody saw coming happened. The smoke off a burning branch wasn't just smoke. It was driving off the actual deadliest thing on the landscape. Not lions, but insects. The quiet kind of killer no spear could ever stop. A fire that burned till morning was doing two jobs that no one even asked it to do, keeping the teeth away and clearing the air of the thing that was killing far more people than any predator on the plain ever was. And once the fear eased, even a little, people did something stranger than surviving. They started talking, not about food, not about the hunt, but stories, arguments about a dream they had 2 nights back. A grandmother turning the sound of a hyena's call into a song. Gossip about a face 3 camps over. Groups on the opposite ends of the planet who never once met, never traded a single word, did this exact same thing with their firelit hours. Some researchers think this nightly ritual, repeated for 100,000 generations, isn't a side effect of being human. It's the actual reason we became human. Not the spear, not the wheel. A circle of faces, lit, orange, learning who could be trusted, one story at a time. And while the voices kept going, somebody was always looking up. A sky with zero artificial light isn't a sky you've ever seen. It's loaded, edge to edge, with more stars than most people alive today will witness in their lifetime. Your ancestors didn't just stare at it. They read it like a clock. A certain star low on the horizon meant the rains were close. A certain shape meant it was time to move before the herds did. Long before calendars, long before writing, long before a single cyst, long before a single city existed anywhere on Earth. The night sky was the first instruction manual humanity ever had, and you had to sit in the dark, fully awake, to read it. Now, here's where it gets strange, and where most people get the next part completely wrong. You've probably heard the ancient humans slept in 2 halves, a first sleep an hour or two of quiet wakefulness by the fire, and then a second sleep until dawn. It's everywhere. Old diaries mention it. Old court records mention it. It sounds like settled fact. But a sleep scientist named Jerome Siegel wanted to know if it was actually ancient or just old. So his team did something nobody had bothered to do before. They put sleep monitors on hunter-gatherers in Tanzania, Namibia, and Bolivia. Zero electricity, zero clocks. About as close as you can get to actual conditions your ancestors evolved in. If two-part sleep were really built into the species, this is exactly where it would show up the loudest. But it didn't show up at all. All three groups slept in one long, unbroken stretch, lights out to first light. They barely even napped, which means the broken sleep found in those old records probably wasn't some ancient instinct clawing its way back out. It was a candle problem. Just enough light to wake you up halfway, but not enough to actually live by. Hold on to that. It matters in a minute, because there was one part of the night that broke people everywhere, with no exceptions, and it had nothing to do with predators or candles. Imagine you're asleep, and suddenly you're awake, eyes open in the pitch dark, and your body will not move, not one muscle. And you feel it. Something in the room is with you, sitting on your chest. This still happens to people today. We know exactly why. It's your mind wakes up a few seconds before your body finishes switching the paralysis of deep sleep back off. Almost boring once you know it. Ancient humans didn't have this explanation, so every culture on Earth built its own monster to fill the silence, completely on their own. A witch sitting on the chest of sleepers in medieval Europe. A spirit pressing the breath out of people across parts of West Africa. Fishermen in Newfoundland who just called her the old hag. None of these people ever met. None of them compared notes. But they built almost the exact same demon anyway, from scratch, to explain the same 5 seconds of human biology. That's not a coincidence. That's how deep the terror of the dark actually went. And then, slowly, on purpose, we ended it. Candlelight at first, then gas lamps lining the city streets, then a glowing filament in a glass bulb that meant night didn't have to mean stop anymore. Work continued. Entertainment continued. The dark kept retreating, one bulb at a time, until your own body lost its ability to tell the difference from night at all. A phone screen at midnight sends your brain the exact same signal as the sun at noon, telling it to hold off on that one hormone that supposedly shuts, telling it to hold off on the one hormone that's supposed to shut you down for the night. We won. We completely killed the dark. But it cost us more than we noticed at the time. Not just dark skies, but the ability to sit in silence without reaching for something to fill it. The instinct to let your eyes adjust instead of finding a switch. A kind of nightly stillness an entire species used to share, automatically, without even trying. We've sent cameras past the edge of the solar system, and most kids growing up in the city today have never once seen an actual Milky Way. So remember that thought from earlier, the one about the candle. The next time you snap awake at 2 a.m. for no reason, and your first instinct is to panic that something is wrong, it isn't. There was never a version of being human with perfect, silent, unbroken sleep that you somehow lost. Your ancestors didn't have that either. They just didn't have a clock around to tell them that they were failing at it. So don't reach for the phone. Lie there, in the actual dark, the way every person before you did, 300,000 years before a switch on the wall made darkness optional. Somewhere, past the edge of the city, your sky is still doing exactly what it did then. You just have to stop lighting it up to actually see it. And somewhere, underneath all of it, some old, firelit instinct in you is still listening for the dark to settle in. Tell me in the comments, what time does your brain wake you up at? And for no reason at all. I bet most of us say the exact same hour.